Hello. Let us today know about the interior of the cranial cavity, the osteology part of the interior of the cranial cavity. So here we have removed the skull cap or calvaria in the cranium here. Thus we are seeing a cranial cavity which is divided into anterior cranial fossa. This one is the middle cranial fossa and this one is the posterior cranial fossa. So the cranial cavity is divided into, so till here it is the anterior cranial fossa. This one is the middle cranial fossa and this is the posterior cranial fossa. Let us now talk or let us know about the anterior cranial fossa for now. This anterior cranial fossa is separated from the middle cranial fossa by this one which is the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. So the line of junction between the anterior and middle cranial fossa laterally is the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone, and medially it is the anterior part of sulcus, anterior margin of sulcus chiasmatis. Medially, anterior margin of sulcus chiasmatis, and laterally the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone forms the junction between the anterior cranial fossa and the middle cranial fossa. So this anterior cranial fossa, okay, a vague diagram I will be putting here, only knowing the this is anterior cranial fossa and this one is the lesser wing of sphenoid. This is sulcus chiasmatis. It is called sulcus chiasmatis. This region is called sulcus chiasmatis because it is related to the optic chiasma. Superiorly, it is related to the optic chiasma. Now, to know better about this anterior cranial fossa, we'll start with the roof of it. The roof of here, it is the cut part. Roof is formed by which bone? It is formed by the frontal bone, which is cut here. The frontal bone overlaps like this. So the roof is formed by the frontal bone. The floor laterally is formed by the orbital plates of frontal bone. This is the floor on either sides, which is formed by this is the orbital plate of frontal bone, which is uneven. At some places it is depressed, at some places it is elevated. That depressions and elevations are formed by the lodgement of the gyri and sulci of orbital surface of the cerebral hemisphere. So the orbital surface of the frontal lobe of the corresponding cerebral hemisphere is lodged here, which contains sulci and gyri, and that produces uneven elevations and depressions on the orbital plates of the frontal bones here. So that forms the lateral part of the roof. Posteriorly, it is limited by lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. This is lesser wing of the sphenoid bone, which is broad medially. Here medially it is broad and it is thickened, it is thinned out laterally. It is thinned out laterally, thickened medially. This is lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. Underneath this lesser wing of the sphenoid bone, here lies the sphenoparietal sinus. Sphenoparietal sinus is located here. And more posteriorly, this is sulcus chiasmatis, which is related to the optic chiasma, forming the floor in the posterior part. In the central region now, if you see in the central region here, you can see this is the frontal crest. This one is the frontal crest. On the frontal bone, you are seeing a crest. Okay, that is frontal crest. And this is crista galli. This is crista galli, which is a part of the ethmoid bone. This is a crista galli and this is frontal crest. To this crista galli is attached to the anterior end of falx cerebri is attached, and to the frontal crest it is the anterior margin of falx cerebri is attached. So that falx cerebri is sickle shaped fold like this, which extends like this and goes like this. So the anterior end is attached to crista galli and the anterior margin is attached to this frontal crest. Okay. In between these two there may be a foramen. That foramen if present it is called foramen cecum. Foramen cecum. Cecum means blind foramen if you see. So this is the frontal crest. This is a crista galli. There may be a foramen here. That foramen has to be blind, hence named cecum. It does not transmit any structures, but if it transmits a structure, that has to be an emissary vein. That emissary vein connects the nasal veins with the superior sagittal sinus. Okay? And this, by the side of this crista galli, you can see a depressed region here. A depressed region by the side of the crista galli on either side. This is a crista galli to which anterior end of the falx cerebri is attached. This is a depressed region on either sides of the crista galli, which is formed by the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. Cribriform itself means sieved or perforated or indulated. So it consists of numerous foramens in it. That is making it cribriform in nature. So cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. It is the ethmoid bone and containing numerous foramens. These foramens transmit corresponding ethmoidal nerve and vessels. And in front and behind one of the, you can see on either sides is present anterior and posterior ethmoidal canal. Anterior and posterior ethmoidal canal is present, transmitting the anterior and posterior ethmoidal nerves respectively. It's clear? This cribriform plate of ethmoid bone, this one is the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. Is deeply grooved, and this plate lodges in its medial half, in its medial part, gyrus rectus, a gyrus of the orbital surface of the frontal lobe, the medialmost gyrus of the orbital surface of the frontal lobe of the corresponding cerebral hemisphere is lodged medially. So medially, so this portion is, it is lodged by the, on either sides by the gyrus rectus, a gyrus called gyrus rectus. And laterally it lodges the olfactory bulb. Laterally it lodges the olfactory bulb. Numerous olfactory filaments forming the first cranial nerve coming from the nasal mucosa passes through this foramen and opens into the olfactory bulb laterally in the cribriform plate of ethmoid bone. Is it clear? So we are talking about the floor from anterior to posterior. So we are finished with frontal crest, we are done with foramen cecum, we are done with crista galli, and by the side of the crista galli what you are seeing, you know, more posteriorly now here, this portion is the highest point of the sphenoid bone, hence we call it as jugum sphenoidale. This ethmoid bone articulates with the sphenoid bone here, and this is called as the jugum. Jugum means highest point. Jugum means head. Jugum sphenoidale. It is called jugum sphenoidale because it represents the head of the sphenoid bone, and underneath this jugum sphenoidale. So this area is the jugum sphenoidale area. Underneath it lies the sphenoidal hair sinuses, and this is the highest point of the sphenoid bone. Behind it lies the sulcus. This one, it is the sulcus chiasmatis. Sulcus chiasmatis. It is represented to the crossing of the optic nerves, that is the optic chiasma over it. And this is the lesser wing of the sphenoid, already you know. The projected part, the most backward projection, so I can feel it, this one, the most backward projection of this one of the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone medially, it is called as anterior clinoid processes. That means these ones. These are the anterior clinoid process of either sides. To this anterior clinoid processes, the free margin of tentorium cerebelli is attached. The free margin of tentorium cerebelli is attached. So this is all about the anterior cranial fossa, a small topic, osteological aspect of the anterior cranial fossa. Thank you.